Going into Comic-Con, there was one exclusive that was on the top of my list, and I've got it. The 40th Anniversary Masterverse box set is a wondrous presentation befitting its Comic-Con exclusive title. But now that I have it in hand, it's time to unbox and share my thoughts on this set to see if it was really worth all of the hassle. Hello everybody and welcome to Geek Dad Life. It's your host, Jay Glatfelter here. Oh my gosh, Comic-Con was a whirlwind adventure. I am so glad to be back home and to have this set sitting here on my review table, because when this thing was first announced a few weeks back, it immediately became my most desirable exclusive at Comic-Con. And it was the reason why I lined up early on preview night and, braved all the crowds and didn't run as fast as I could to the Mattel booth on preview night. But unfortunately, it was kind of a big, hot mess. It was a disaster. The line capped immediately, and by the time I was able to get in line and wait for multiple hours, they sold it out, or they capped the sales of it on preview night with 10 minutes left in the night, and there's only 3 people in front of me. It was such a frustrating experience. But thankfully, friend of the channel, Kayla Silva, was able to get in line early the next day and nab me this 40th Anniversary Masters of the Universe Masterverse set so that I can review it for you all here today. So give her some thanks in the comment section down below. So here it is. It is pretty big as far as a Comic-Con exclusive goes. I've gotten quite a few Masters of the Universe exclusives over the years. The last one was at the last Comic-Con 3 years ago in 2019, and it introduced the Origins toy line to all of us with that He-Man 2-pack, which was really cool. They did a really great job with it. So they always go all out for their Comic-Con exclusives, and this one is no different. So this set is going to come with a special version of Skeletor and a special version of He-Man, and we know that this He-Man is essentially a more premium or a more gussied up version of the 40th Anniversary He-Man that should hit retail shelves soon. So I hope the same can be said for the Skeletor figure, and that, if you did miss out on this set, you can get the retail versions. You won't feel like you're missing out on too much. But there's some big differences. We're gonna have die-cast accessories as well as this die-cast Ring of Absolute Power. So those are the big differences here, as well as all of the trappings and packaging. So let's take this thing out of its shipper box, which does look pretty cool, but let's be honest, it's not why we're all here. We're here for the actual packaging inside. And they've recreated the Castle Grayskull door as part of the box, which I think is really cool. You have some of the Grayskull appointments right here on the side on these rivets, and it kind of looks like a treasure chest that you get to open up. We have that awesome 40th He-Man logo on there, as this set is celebrating 40 years of Masters of the Universe. And again, it looks nice, has a really nice premium feel to it. But let's open up this gatefold, and there we have this fantastic display here with both of our Comic-Con premium version of the Masterverse, He-Man and Skeletor. So again, just first glance at this, the exploding rocks and the space background is just one of my favorite, toy designs of all time. It just captures your attention, it captures your imagination, and really just makes this set really pop as I'm looking at it right now. We also have the classic iconic MOTU bubbles that are holding these figures in, which is pretty cool. And we have the Masterverse logo as done in its 40th anniversary style. We have this cool foil 40th anniversary up here in the corner, and in the middle we have the mightiest battle in the universe. For 40 years, the almighty He-Man and the evil Sorcerer Skeletor have been locked in an epic battle for the power of Grayskull to determine who truly is the master of the universe. And it's a really nice display, and I believe we're just gonna pull this little tab right here to be able to take the figures out of this box. All right, so let's pull on this tab right here to see. Oh, and it comes out super easy, no trouble at all. and it feels premium here. Like this is not, you know, I mean, you probably want to like throw it around, but it's not easily going to fall apart. It's hard cardstock with the bubbles in it, so that's pretty awesome. That to the side, and then we have our two figures, the first two mini comics done up in this 40th anniversary style. We have the power ring up here on the top left hand side. We've got extra hands, and we've got those glorious die cast weapons. So first, I think I'm going to take out the mini comics, and I absolutely love the mini comic lore. In my mind, you know, this is the headcanon that I follow, which are these mini comics. And I love that they have recreated them here. They've actually done like a trade paperback, collected paperback of all of the He-Man mini comics. Well worth the pickup, but some great stories. The Alcala artwork looks so freaking amazing. It's what's in my mind when I'm thinking of these Masters of the Universe characters. And I love that we're getting these awesome reprints as part of this set. And we have some new artwork there by Axel Jimenez. And yeah, so Axel and Francisco. I love that they are credited here on the paper. That's really cool. And in honor of Mark Taylor, I love that as well. Rest in peace, Mark Taylor. So nice mini comic. Not a super premium print on this. It doesn't actually have as bright and vibrant a color as I was expecting it to have. You know, especially I have these in vintage form, and they look a little bit brighter to my eyes than these, but still it's a really nice pack in, and I love that we've got the additional artwork here on the back inside sleeve, and I love that we got the actual credit to Axel and Francisco on there. So love these two, love that we're getting them. They're probably my two favorite mini comics out of all of them, so I'm pumped that we're getting them here with this set. Next up, let's take out the actual figures. So we'll take out Skelly, who is in this little bubble. He does have some, not zip ties, but little plastic bands holding him in at his feet and his arms. But these usually break off pretty easily, so I'm just gonna pull him out. And yes, they come out pretty easily, and you don't have to destroy the bubble, so you can leave that in here. And looking at just this Skeletor, he is awesome. The first thing I want to go to is the articulated jaw. It's a little loose. I would have liked it to be a little bit tighter. It doesn't really hold close very well, at least with mine. And it looks like they even kind of cut out little teeth there so that it would hold in place when his mouth is closed. But my jaw isn't a super tight articulation, so it kind of hangs open, which is something to note about this. I'm sure there's probably a way to make it go a little bit tighter so it'll actually hold better and you can position it how you want to, but at least mine out of the box does not feature that ability. Other than that, it's a pretty classic Skeletor. There is a light kind of dark blue spray added to this to highlight the sculpting details of the set. It's almost like airbrushed on there, and I think it looks pretty darn good in hand, and the articulation on the whole feels pretty tight. No loose joints there. His tunic seems a little loose, or the piece that goes over his loincloth is a little bit loose. It's a little bit stretched out, so it hangs a little bit under, and you kind of see the top of the loincloth there, which is a little bit disappointing. But hopefully, again, that's maybe something that you can fix. Now, I do have what is one of my favorites from the Masterverse line. And this is, I thought maybe they're just going to reuse a lot of what they used to make this one, the Barbarian Skeletor. But no, this is a pretty new sculpt. The armor, the everything is, maybe the arms are the same, but the chest is that bigger chest that the He-Man features as well. He also has the same loincloth as the He-Man, but I wish they would have made this part here a little bit tighter so it's not fitting on there so loose. New shins and new feet here, as well as the new head sculpt on the Skeletor. So it's his classic look, and some new tooling here, as well as new armor to add to him. Just a little bit bummed that the jaw articulation's a little bit loose on mine. So if we do get a 40th anniversary Skeletor, I assume it's going to reuse a lot of these parts. Maybe they'll drop the articulated jaw. Maybe they won't have as, you know, that nice little airbrushed highlights on the sculpting. But overall, it looks pretty darn good. All right, so let's take out the He-Man next. All right, having this He-Man in hand, the first images we got of the 40th anniversary He-Man, it was like way overdone on the wash, right? He just looked like he was dirty. And then the more recent images, it almost looks like it has no wash at all. It looks a little too toyish. But this one, again, has that very subtle airbrush kind of wash to him that really highlights the sculpting on the figure. And the articulation is nice and tight on this He-Man. And, you know, I didn't know how I would feel about the flocked loincloth or the flocked booties. But I like it here. It makes it look a little bit more premium than what I assumed the regular one will be. You know, I guess you can't articulate the jaw on the He-Man, or it's not a feature that we'd really want. But here it actually looks pretty cool and just adds to the overall, you know, premium feel of this set as the Comic-Con exclusive versus what we'll see in the normal 40th anniversary release of this figure. Now, one thing of note with my specific He-Man, and I noticed this when I first opened him up, and I'm hoping I can capture it here on camera, but it's slightly oversprayed on the highlights on the face in person. It actually looks better on camera than it does with my own eyes. But it seems a little bit too much right here, like on the forehead and on the cheeks a little bit. And, you know, I know we've critiqued this head sculpt, but in person, I think it actually looks really nice. You know, it's hard to capture He-Man in a head sculpt well. So many toy companies have tried and so many companies have fallen short, including Mattel over the years. But actually, I really like how this head sculpt looks. Now I'm going to bring in the first, you know, Revelation style Masterverse He-Man figure. And I do like the bigger chest here. I thought it looked a little bit off when I first saw it in the pictures. But in person, I think it looks pretty good. And the head doesn't seem as small as I thought it was going to be when we first saw it. This new He-Man is taller than the original Masterverse He-Man as well. Just by a little bit. So when I'm taking out the measuring tape here, you're looking at, so it's like 7 and a bit here on this 40th anniversary set. And if I make him stand up fully upright, I think like 7 1/4 versus the straight 7-inch on the regular Masterverse figures. And the same could be said for the Skeletor, who is taller as well, but still comes in a tad bit shorter than the He-Man figure, which was true of the previous Masterverse releases that you can see right here. So Skeletor is coming in, you know, right at that 7-inch, and He-Man's going a little bit above it. So that is something of note here with these figures. But let's take out the rest of the accessories here, and then we'll really try and, you know, put the accessories in, and then I have my classics figures here as well that we can compare them to. So let me take out He-Man's axe. My axe. All right, I've got all of the accessories out of the packaging, and they look really nice. They feel super premium in hand, and this, I believe, is not die-cast, the actual staff part of it. It's a little bit top-heavy. So the die-cast is here just in the skull of the Skeletor. The rest is plastic. So on Skeletor's staff, Havoc staff, only the skull is die-cast. But I think that actually works pretty well because it separates the look of the skull versus the rest of the staff in a nice way. So that's nice, and it adds a bit of weight and heft to just the top end of the staff, which could be a problem long-term if you're displaying this staff with your Skeletor, but I think it looks nice on its own. His sword is all die-cast, and you can feel it has a heft, it has a weight to it, which is really nice. And then He-Man has that same power sword, but again, He-Man's is in the silver, and then Skeletor's is in his iconic purple, and it looks like it cut a piece of or at least a piece of that red styrofoam They may have put it in a little bit wet because it kind of stuck to the tip of the sword there. He-Man's axe is also die-cast silver, but mine is a little bit bent, which may have been, they could have put it in while it was still kind of warm from the die casting, and it could have bent as they pushed it in with their finger probably into the packaging. So I probably could heat this up and straighten it out, but out of the package, it's coming in a little bit bent. And then they do come with extra hands. I've never found a use for these. I may have to use it though with the die cast shield, but luckily it's plastic on the actual inside handle piece, so it might be able to grip it better than if it was straight die cast. But that is something of note. And you have a fist here for He-Man that he can punch with. Skeletor comes with a clench fist as well, and no karate chop hand, just kind of a slightly open hand for the Skeletor. But honestly, this accessory I was most excited about was this Warriors ring, this 40th anniversary Warriors ring, which is in a die cast silver. And then it also has these really cool ruby eyes, like kind of jewel eyes encrusted in here. It's not super sparkly, it's just like a piece of plastic, so I think let's just keep it in mind there with that, but it's really, really cool. I have pretty thick knuckles from years of guitar playing, so I generally have to have a larger ring size, but let's see if it fits my ring finger here. And no, it doesn't. I could probably force it, but it would get stuck on my ring finger and my, let's see, yeah, every finger except for pinky. But let's see if it works on my right hand. And yeah, it's just not quite big enough to fit on any of my main digits, but with the pinky, it does fit. So I got this sick pinky ring that I can rock, which is better than any of the vintage ones, which do not fit at all. And then, but it is separated here, so I probably could stretch it out. Again, use a little bit of heat maybe and stretch it out. But I kind of like it as an obnoxious pinky ring. But let's see. Let's open this thing up, which has a secret compartment inside. If you watch Toy Geeks, we've talked about what you could use this secret compartment for, but I will not mention it here. But it's really cool. You got the 40th anniversary logo inside. So love this add-in here. It's something that makes the set extra special, especially considering these two figures will be, for the most part, available as a retail release once those 40th anniversary figs start hitting. So love that addition here. All right, well, let's add our die-cast accessories to these two figures. So it's got a nice clinking sound. But I wouldn't want to do that long term just because I feel like it would start to chip away at the paint. So probably don't go into battle with, heavy play because it could start to chip over time, would be my guess. It doesn't feel like super premium metal. It kind of feels like junk metal, or sounds like. I shouldn't say feels like. It sounds like junk metal. Not to say it's junk, but it doesn't have the ringing noise that you would get with a more premium metal. It's kind of a dead clanking noise, but it's still really cool to have. I'm not saying that like I think it's a bad thing. I'm going to try and get his hand to hold it outside of the figure because it's probably going to be too much of a pain in the neck to do it otherwise. Again, there's something to be said about the die-cast weapons making it a little bit more front heavy, but still so far they're able to hold themselves up pretty well. Especially, I think, if you put one of the die-cast weapons in the weapon holster, it kind of evens it out in terms of the weight distribution. But as you can see, it's kind of reacting to my lighting setup here. But you can put Skeletor's sword in the back as well, which I think I'm going to do just long term because I think it'll hold up better over time. Because this Skeletor has the classic webbed feet, which I'm having a little bit of a tougher time getting him to stand up compared to the He-Man figure, but I think it's got to kind of work the feet a little bit to get the ankles positioned properly. But still, it's standing up pretty well. So let me actually kind of bring in the camera here. And yeah, I think overall, this is a really nice set. Is it worth the $80? I don't well, if you think about these, are 40 bucks each. And if you did this online, maybe a bit more. So I think take that with a grain of salt, but I think the packaging, the die-cast weapons do add to the value there, and I think they look pretty good. The true test is seeing how they look like side by side to classics figures, which are generally considered to be the top of the pops, the cake of the walk. And I think overall they stack up pretty well. Now they are bigger than the classics figures. And actually, I do like the articulation better on these new figures, especially in the upper body torso versus some of the earlier Masterverse figures. And yeah, I think these actually look pretty good. I think this head sculpt compares pretty favorably to the classics head sculpt, which had its own kind of overspray on the eyes, famously, back in the day. But honestly, I think they look pretty darn good when you compare them to their classics counterparts. And they're easily, I think, some of the best Masterverse figures that we've gotten so far. I still really love the way the Barbarian Skeletor came out as kind of like a modern Skeletor when you have his classic head on him. But if you're looking for the classics look, I think this is actually or classic look, I think this is a really good looking Skeletor head sculpt. Now, I wish the articulation would have been a little bit tighter on the jaw so it could have some more options when you pose him. It's a little loosey-goosey, which I think inhibits it a little bit. But other than that, and the kind of looseness here on the tunic, I think they're both really, really good figures. And for people that order these online, I believe it didn't sell out for 12 minutes, which seems like a short amount of time, but compared to Wondar, which sold out in 2 minutes, I think that was pretty solid and well worth that experience versus my experience of having to wait hours in line at Comic-Con and not get them the first night. And thankfully I had a friend that was able to go the next day and wait in line for an extended period of time and pick up this set. So if you got it online within those 12 minutes, I think you had a much better buying experience than anybody that purchased this on the San Diego Comic-Con convention floor. And so if you're one of those people, I think you're getting yourself a heck of a set for 80 bucks. And, I'm excited to see how they continue this 40th anniversary line because this He-Man and Skeletor look great. I'm pumped to have them added to my Masters of the Universe collection. And Mattel continues to kick butt with their Comic-Con Masters of the Universe releases. I'd like to thank the people that make this show possible, my patrons. You can find a full list of them right here. If you'd like to help this channel grow, become a patron today at patreon.com/geekdadlife. Definitely check out this playlist of all of my San Diego Comic-Con 2022 coverage right here, as well as this video that YouTube wants you to check out. And until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.